The stranger I ghosted after a steamy night is my new college roommate. Someone screams. Glass shatters. I barely flinch. Just another Saturday night behind the bar at Miami's most infamous nightclub, Azul. 3 more hours of this shift and I can finally collapse onto my textbooks back at the dorm. The glamorous life of a scholarship student. I'm wiping blood, someone else's this time, off the counter when I hear it. Another vodka soda, beautiful. The voice cuts through the noise like a blade, smooth, commanding, impossible to ignore. I look up and suddenly time seems to slow. Standing before me is easily the most gorgeous man I've ever seen. Tall, with features that belong on a Renaissance sculpture, dark hair swept back from a face that radiates privilege and power. But it's his eyes that catch me. Stormy gray, intense, looking at me with such focused interest that I feel heat creeping up my neck. Coming right up, I manage, grateful for the dim lighting hiding my blush. As I prepare the drink, I feel those eyes tracking my every movement, making my hands almost tremble. I haven't seen you here before, he says when I return with his drink. I work the weekend shift usually. Needed the extra hours. I try to sound casual, professional. He extends his hand. Alexander. Dominic, I reply, taking his hand. His grip is firm, warm, and he holds on just a fraction too long. Dominic, he repeats, as if tasting my name. When do you get off? I glance at my watch. 3 hours? Alexander's smile is slow, predatory. I'll wait. And he does. After a few hours, the night turns into a whirlwind of emotions. Alexander takes me to a secluded beach, our bodies moving closer on the sand with each passing time. By the time it's sunrise, we have ditched the talking. Before I know it, Alexander is mapping my body like he is searching for a holy grail, touching exactly the parts which arouse me, making me scream his name. His heated kisses and desperate touches were gentle and commanding, drawing reactions from my body I never knew were possible. But it's the moment afterwards, when he looks into my eyes and whispers, "I feel like I've been waiting for you," that truly terrifies me. No one has ever looked at me like that. Like I'm something precious, something seen. The next morning I slip away while Alexander showers in the hotel room we'd eventually found. I block his number, call in sick to the club for 2 weeks, and try desperately to forget those gray eyes that somehow saw straight through me. After a few months, 3 months later, I'm juggling an armful of textbooks as I shoulder open my dorm room door, thinking only of the shower and nap I desperately need after my double shift at the library. I stopped dead in my tracks. A familiar figure is methodically unpacking a designer's suitcase onto the previously empty bed on the other side of the room. My books clatter to the floor before I can stop them. Alexander turns and our eyes lock. My heart seizes in my chest. "Hello, Dominic." His voice is cool, controlled, nothing like the passionate whispers from that night. "I see you remember me. More than I expected, considering how quickly you disappeared." I struggle to find my voice. "What are you doing here?" "I'm your new roommate." He hangs an expensive shirt in the closet with precise movements. "Alexander Blackwood, Dean Blackwood's son." The blood drains from my face. Dean Blackwood. The most feared and powerful administrator at Miami Central University. The man who personally approved every scholarship, including mine. "This must be uncomfortable for you," Alexander continues casually, "having to face someone you ghosted." "Don't worry, I'm over it." "Alexander, about that night," I begin, desperate to explain, though I'm not sure what I would say. "Please," he cuts me off, "let's not pretend it meant anything. It was just a hookup, right?" His eyes. Those same gray eyes that once looked at me with such intensity, now regard me with clinical detachment. I swallow hard. "Right, just a hookup." "Good," Alexander closes his suitcase, "because I specifically requested you as my roommate." I freeze. "You what?" Alexander steps closer, and I catch the familiar scent of his cologne, making my heart race traitorously. "I said I specifically requested you. Did you think it was a coincidence?" "Why would you do that?" My voice sounds small even to my own ears. "Let's just say I have my reasons." His smile doesn't reach his eyes. "We're going to be seeing a lot of each other, Dominic. I hope that won't be a problem." The way he says my name, like he's savoring it despite his cold demeanor, sends an unwelcome shiver down my spine. After a few weeks, The following weeks are filled with tension. We walk on eggshells, as if one wrong move could detonate a bomb between us. I try to request a room change, only to discover that the housing department won't process any transfers without Dean Blackwood's approval. I'm trapped. After a particularly grueling shift at the library, I return to find the room empty. Thank God I grab my towel and head for the shower, letting the hot water wash away the day's stress. Steam fills the bathroom as I lose myself in thought, trying to figure out how to handle this impossible situation. When I step out, towel wrapped around my waist, Alexander is leaning against the sink. I startle, clutching my towel tighter. Jesus, how long have you been there? Long enough. His eyes drag over my damp chest, lingering on the droplets trailing down my stomach. We need to talk. Can it wait until I'm dressed? I ask, feeling exposed in more ways than one. No. He moves closer, the small bathroom suddenly feeling impossibly intimate. I know about your night job, Dominic. My heart sinks. Working at Azul violates my scholarship terms. No off-campus employment without approval, especially nothing that could reflect poorly on the university. I don't know what you're talking about, I say weakly, knowing it's useless. Alexander laughs softly. Don't insult my intelligence. I have pictures from the club. My father would be very interested to see a star scholarship student serving drinks to Miami's party elite. What do you want? I grip my towel tighter, hating how vulnerable I feel. I need a boyfriend. I blink, certain I've misheard. Excuse me? For the semester. My family is pressuring me to date Eliza Harrington, daughter of my father's business partner. I need someone to play the part of devoted boyfriend to keep them off my back. And you picked me. The guy you barely know who ghosted you after a one-night stand. You're perfect, actually. He steps closer and I can smell his cologne again. You're smart enough to keep up with my crowd, attractive enough to be believable, and you have something to lose if you say no. My back hits the tiled wall. This is blackmail. I prefer to think of it as mutual benefit. You keep your scholarship, I keep my freedom. Alexander is inches away, close enough that I can feel his breath. What do you say, Dominic? Will you be my boyfriend? Anger and something else, something hotter and more dangerous, surged through me. Without thinking, I grab him by the collar and crush our lips together. The kiss is furious, punishing, and over as quickly as it begins, I push him away. You're an asshole, I spit. Alexander touches his lips, looking genuinely surprised for the first time. Is that a yes? After a few days. So how did we meet, I asked, stirring my latte as we sat at a corner table in the busy campus coffee shop. We need our story straight before we face your father. Alexander's fingers drummed thoughtfully on the wooden table. Economics class. You challenged my answer during a discussion on wealth distribution. I was intrigued by your audacity. I snorted. Audacity? You mean you were annoyed someone dared to question the almighty Blackwood heir? Perhaps initially, he admitted with a small smile. But then I was captivated by your passion and intelligence. The sincerity in his voice caught me off guard. That's actually good. Believable. The best lies contain elements of truth, Alexander said, his gaze meeting mine over the rim of his coffee cup. My cheeks warmed. And our first date? I asked you for coffee to continue our debate. His hand moved across the table to cover mine, his thumb tracing small circles on my skin. Like this, perhaps. The casual touch shouldn't have affected me. We were just practicing, after all. But he bloomed where his skin met mine. And I agreed because underneath your righteous indignation, you found me irresistible. His smile turned playful, a rare glimpse of the man beneath the calculated exterior. I rolled my eyes, but didn't pull my hand away. You're enjoying this too much. We need to be convincing. Alexander's fingers interlaced with mine, his touch confident yet surprisingly gentle. May I? I nodded, unsure what I was agreeing to until he leaned across the table. His lips brushed mine in a kiss so soft it was barely there, yet it sent electricity down my spine. There, he murmured, staying close enough that I could feel his breath on my lips. Now everyone watching thinks we're a couple. I glanced around, noticing several curious onlookers quickly averting their eyes. Effective strategy. I always have effective strategies. Alexander sat back but kept our hands linked. The smug satisfaction on his face couldn't quite hide something warmer in his eyes. Though I admit this particular plan has unexpected benefits. Like free tutoring for your roommate, I quipped, trying to regain my equilibrium. Alexander's laugh was genuine, catching us both by surprise. Among other things. As we continued planning our fictional relationship, the line between pretense and reality began to blur. His touches lingered longer than necessary. My responses grew less performative. By the time we left the coffee shop, walking hand in hand across the quad for the benefit of watching eyes, I wasn't entirely sure how much was still an act. After a few weeks, the Blackwood family estate sprawls across 5 acres of Miami's most exclusive waterfront property. I tug at my borrowed suit jacket as Alexander guides me through the marble foyer with a propriety hand at the small of my back. "Remember what we discussed," he murmurs. "You're a scholarship student I met in my economics class. We've been dating for 2 months, and I'm madly in love with you," I add sarcastically. Alexander's fingers tighten on my waist. Precisely. The dining room could house my entire apartment building. Dean Thomas Blackwood sits at the head, his severe features softening only slightly when he sees his son. "Alexander," he nods, then his gaze sharpens on me. "And this must be your... friend." "Boyfriend, father." Alexander's arm slides around my waist. "This is Dominic Torres, the one I told you about." I extend my hand, forcing confidence I don't feel. "It's an honor to meet you, sir." The dean's handshake is crushing. "Torres. One of our scholarship students, aren't you?" "Yes, sir. Full academic scholarship." The disapproval is palpable. "Alexander, a word in private before dinner." As they step away, a server appears with champagne. I take a flute gratefully, trying not to eavesdrop on the heated whispers from the corner, but fragments reach me. Completely inappropriate. My choice, not yours. Need to straighten out. Cut me off if you want. Alexander returns, his face a mask of composure, but I can see the tension in his jaw. Throughout dinner, Dean Blackwood makes pointed references to appropriate connections and the Harrington girl. By dessert, Alexander is gripping his fork so tightly that his knuckles have gone white. In the car back to campus, Alexander is silent, staring out the window. "He's going to cut you off, isn't he?" I finally ask. Alexander's laugh is hollow. He's been threatening that for years. Because of me? Because I refuse to be his puppet, Alexander turns to me, and for a moment the mask slips. "Thank you. For tonight. You were... convincing." "I'm an excellent actor," I say, but the words feel hollow. I find Alexander on the rooftop of our dorm building once we are back. He didn't turn when I opened the door, but his shoulders tensed, betraying his awareness of my presence. "Your father's a real piece of work," I said, moving to stand beside him at the railing. Alexander's laugh was hollow. That's putting it mildly. He glanced at me, his expression guarded. "You didn't have to follow me up here." I know. I leaned against the railing, our shoulders almost touching. But no one should be alone after being spoken to like that. The night air hung heavy between us, filled with unspoken words. Finally, Alexander sighed. "I'm sorry you had to witness that. My father has specific ideas about what a Blackwood should be." "And dating scholarship students isn't on the approved list?" "Dating men isn't on the approved list," he corrected, his voice tight. "The scholarship part just gives him additional ammunition." I turned to face him fully. "Is that why you needed a fake boyfriend? Not just to avoid this Harrington girl, but to force the issue with your father?" Alexander's gaze remained fixed on the distant horizon. "Perhaps. I've spent years trying to be what he wants. Perfect grades, perfect manners, perfect future lined up in his company." His hands gripped the railing until his knuckles whitened. "But I'm tired of hiding who I am." The vulnerability in his admission cracked something open between us. Without thinking, I reached out, covering his hand with mine. "Then don't." He looked down at our hands, then up at me, surprised and something warmer flickering in his eyes. "It's not that simple." "It never is," I agreed. "But you're not alone in this anymore." Alexander turned his hand beneath mine, our palms meeting, fingers intertwining. The gesture felt more intimate than any of our practiced public displays. "Why are you being kind to me?" after how I've treated you. Maybe I'm seeing the real Alexander Blackwood for the first time, I said softly. Not the arrogant heir or the calculated blackmailer, but the man who stood up to his father tonight. Something shifted in his expression. A softening, a surrender. Slowly, as if giving me time to pull away, Alexander raised his free hand to my face, his touch feather light against my cheek. Dominic, he whispered, my name a question and a plea. I answered by closing the distance between us. This kiss was different from our practiced public performances. Hesitant at first, then deepening as Alexander's arms encircled me, pulling me against him. When we finally broke apart, the pretense between us had irrevocably changed. Something has shifted between us, and we both know it. After a few months. October brings midterms and colder nights. Alexander and I fall into a routine of late-night study sessions, our pretend relationship gradually bleeding into something neither of us can quite define. In public, we play our parts flawlessly, holding hands across campus, sharing coffee at the library, exchanging soft kisses that linger longer than necessary. In private, we circle each other cautiously, the air between us charged with unspoken tension. One night, as we sit surrounded by textbooks and empty coffee cups, Alexander suddenly asks, "Why did you leave that morning?" I look up, startled by the vulnerability in his voice. What? After our night together, you left without a word, blocked my number. I want to know why. I set down my highlighter. Does it matter now? It matters to me. The honesty in his eyes is disarming. I sigh. You scared me. I scared you? He looks genuinely confused. Not like that. I struggle to find the words. No one has ever made me feel the way you did that night. Not just physically, but like you could see parts of me I keep hidden. It was too much. Alexander is silent for a long moment. My mother died when I was 14, he finally says. Since then, I've kept everyone at arm's length. My father isn't exactly the nurturing type. I'm sorry about your mom. That night with you was the first time I'd felt anything in years. His confession hangs in the air between us. That's why I was so angry when you disappeared. I moved to sit beside him on the bed. And now? Are you still angry? Alexander looks at me, the walls behind his eyes crumbling. Now I'm just confused. This was supposed to be simple. A fake relationship to keep my father off my back. But nothing about you is simple, Dominic. Our faces are inches apart, the pretense we've maintained for weeks dissolving in the quiet intimacy of the moment. I brush my fingers against his cheek. Maybe we should stop pretending, I whisper. The kiss that follows is nothing like our first furious clash in the bathroom, or the performative displays we've put on around campus. It's soft, questioning, genuine. Alexander's hands tremble slightly as they cup my face, and something in my chest breaks open. After a few hours, Alexander's fingers trace slow patterns up my spine as we lay on the bed. You're not what I expected, Dominic, he murmured, his voice still rough from our earlier activities. I propped myself up on one elbow, studying his face in the dim light. Without his usual composed mask, Alexander looked younger, almost vulnerable. What did you expect? Someone easier to walk away from, he admitted, reaching up to brush my cheek. The simple touch sent electricity through me. There's something about you. You don't back down. I like that. I caught his hand, pressing my lips to his palm. Is that why you waited 3 hours at the club that day? For someone who doesn't back down? I waited because from the moment I saw you, I couldn't look away. His gray eyes darkened as he pulled me closer. I still can't. Alexander rests his forehead against mine. I've never felt this immediate connection with anyone, he whispered, the confession seeming to surprise even him. Me neither, I admitted, equally terrified and exhilarated by the intensity between us. It's overwhelming. Alexander smiled, a rare, genuine expression that transformed his face. Then let's be overwhelmed together. After a few days, the campus Halloween party throbs with music and laughter as Alexander and I make our entrance, fingers intertwined. He looks devastating in a simple vampire costume, while I've opted for a classic James Dean look. Heads turn as we cross the room. Your boyfriend cleans up nice, Blackwood, comments Trevor Whitley, the lacrosse captain whose family owns half of downtown Miami. Where'd you find him again? The service entrance? Alexander's grip on my hand tightens. Careful, Trevor, your insecurity is showing. Trevor sneers. Just surprised to see you slumming it. What does Daddy Dearest think of your charity case? Before Alexander can respond, I step forward. I'd rather be a scholarship student who earned my place than a trust fund baby who had to buy his way in. The surrounding crowd falls silent. Trevor's face darkens. You little... That's enough. Alexander's voice cuts like ice. Apologize to Dominic now. Or what? Or I tell everyone about the cocaine incident at the Biltmore last summer. Your father paid a lot of money to keep that quiet. Trevor pales. It was just a joke, man. No offense intended. He nods stiffly at me. Sorry. As Trevor slunks away, Alexander guides me toward the balcony. Are you okay? I can fight my own battles, I say, but there's no heat in my words. I know you can. But you shouldn't have to. Not because of me. His eyes are fierce. You're worth 10 of those entitled assholes. Something hot and urgent flares between us. Take me home, I say. We barely make it through our dorm room door before we're tearing at each other's clothes. Months of tension erupting into desperate kisses and urgent touches. This time is different from our first night. Rawer, more honest. Both of us whispering truths against each other's skin that we couldn't say in daylight. Afterwards, as we lie tangled together, I trace patterns on his chest. You never told me you played piano. Alexander tenses slightly. How did you know? Your hands. The calluses are different from mine, but I recognize them. My mom taught piano lessons. Alexander is quiet for a moment. I was going to study at Juilliard. Had a full scholarship. What happened? My father happened. Said music was a hobby, not a career for a Blackwood. His laugh is bitter. The great irony is that my mother was a concert pianist. She would have supported me. I prop myself up on one elbow. Play for me sometime? The vulnerability that crosses his face is answer enough. I lean down to kiss him softly, and for the first time, our embrace holds no ulterior motives. No pretense. Just a simple truth of two people falling for each other against all odds. A month later. November brings revelations. Alexander becomes increasingly secretive, disappearing for hours without explanation, taking mysterious phone calls that end abruptly when I enter the room. I try to ignore the growing knot of anxiety in my stomach, telling myself I'm being paranoid. Until the night I find the files. Alexander has left his laptop open while rushing to a meeting with his father. I don't mean to snoop, but the document on screen catches my eye. Financial records from the university scholarship fund, with large sums highlighted and annotations in Alexander's handwriting. My blood runs cold as I scroll through the documents. Transfer records, offshore accounts, all connected to Dean Blackwood. And notes from Alexander that seem to outline a strategy for hiding these transactions. The door opens and Alexander freezes when he sees what I'm looking at. It's not what you think, he says quickly. I stand, shaking. Really? Because it looks like you and your father are embezzling scholarship money. My scholarship money. Dominic, please, let me explain. Explain what? That this whole thing was a setup? My voice cracks. Get close to the scholarship kid. Make sure he doesn't suspect anything. Was that the plan all along? No, I would never save it. I grab my jacket. I can't believe I actually started to fall for you. Alexander reaches for me. Dominic, wait! Don't touch me! I step back. We're done. Whatever this was, the fake relationship, the not-so-fake feelings, it's over. I slam the door behind me, not wanting to see the devastation on his face. After a month, it's the finals week. I've moved in with my friend Miguel, avoiding Alexander. The pain of betrayal is too fresh, too deep. The annual Donors Gala is approaching, and rumors swirl that a major announcement will be made. I have no intention of attending until Miguel's girlfriend, Sophia, who works in the event's office, comes to me with disturbing news. Alexander is planning something at the gala, she says, her voice low. Something about his father. My heart stutters. What? I overheard Dean Blackwood on the phone. He knows Alexander is up to something, and he mentioned your name. Said something about making sure that scholarship boy regrets interfering. Cold dread settles in my stomach. Have I misunderstood everything? The night of the gala, I slipped in through the service entrance. The grand ballroom glitters with wealth and power, and at the center of it all, Dean Blackwood holding court. Alexander stands apart, in his tailored tuxedo, but I can see the tension in his shoulders. Our eyes meet across the room, and for a moment the world narrows to just the two of us. Before I can move toward him, a commotion erupts near the stage. Dean Blackwood is gripping Alexander's arm, leading him forcibly toward a side door. I follow at a distance, slipping into the darkened hallway behind them. Think you're clever, don't you? The dean's voice is low, dangerous. Gathering evidence? Did you really think I wouldn't find out? It's over, Father. Alexander's voice is steady. The FBI has everything. The embezzlement, the bribes, all of it. You ungrateful little! There's the sound of a sharp slap. After everything I've done for you! You mean after everything you've stolen? That money was meant for students who actually need it. Like your little boyfriend? The dean laughs cruelly. Don't think I don't know why you suddenly care about scholarship funds. By tomorrow, Dominic Torres will lose his scholarship, his campus housing, and any chance at a future in academia. I step into the light. Is that so? Both Blackwoods turn in surprise. Alexander's cheek is red from his father's blow. Mr. Torres, the dean recovers quickly. This is a private conversation. I move to stand beside Alexander. I heard everything. And what exactly do you think you can do about it? The dean's smile is cold. It's your word against mine. Alexander's hand finds mine. I've been recording this entire conversation. He pulls out his phone. The FBI agents are in the ballroom right now, waiting for my signal. The dean's face contorts with rage. You would betray your own family? You betrayed everything our family was supposed to stand for, Alexander replies. Mom would be ashamed of what you've become. As if on cue, two men in suits appear at the end of the hallway. Thomas Blackwood, we need you to come with us. As the agents lead his father away, Alexander turns to me, his composure finally cracking. You came. Sophia told me you might be in danger. My voice is thick with emotion. I still don't understand. Those files I saw were evidence I've been gathering for months. My father has been embezzling from the scholarship fund for years. His eyes pleaded. I couldn't tell you. The FBI made me sign a confidentiality agreement. I was trying to protect you. So the night we met at the club was real. Everything between us was real. He squeezes my hand. I requested you as my roommate because I couldn't stop thinking about you after you ghosted me. The fake relationship was, well, partly to appease my father, but mostly just an excuse to be close to you again. My heart hammers in my chest. You blackmailed me. Alexander winces. Not my finest moment. I didn't know how else to keep you in my life. You could have just asked me out like a normal person. When have I ever done anything the normal way? His smile is tentative. I'm sorry, Dominic, for everything. I understand if you can't forgive me. I study his face. You stood up to your father, risked everything to do the right thing. I did it for you, he admits softly. Seeing how hard you worked for your scholarship, knowing my father was stealing from students like you, it woke something in me. The sounds of the gala fade away as I step closer. I left that morning because I was falling for you after one night. I've never felt anything like what I feel when I'm with you, and it terrified me. Alexander cups my cheek. And now? Are you still terrified? Completely, I smile. But I'm not running away this time. Our kiss is a promise, a beginning. The truth of what has been growing between us all along. After a week, the grad night party was in full swing, crystal chandeliers casting a warm glow over the transformed gymnasium. I stood by the punch bowl watching Alexander across the room as he spoke with the FBI agents. Even from a distance, I could see the tension in his shoulders, the careful control in his expression. 1 week had passed since his father's arrest. 1 week since I discovered Alexander had been working to expose the corruption all along. 1 week of uncertainty between us. We didn't see much of each other during that time. As if sensing my gaze, Alexander looked up. his eyes finding mine across the crowded room. After a brief word to the agents, he made his way toward me, stopping to accept condolences and congratulations from students and faculty alike. "You came," he said when he finally reached me, surprise and hope evident in his voice. I handed him a cup of punch. "Seemed like you could use an ally tonight." "More than an ally," Alexander admitted quietly. "I've missed you, Dominic." The simple honesty in his words melted something in me. "How are you holding up?" "Better than expected." He gestured toward a set of doors leading to the garden. "Walk with me?" Outside, fairy lights illuminated the garden. We strolled in silence until we reached a stone bench. "My father's lawyers are pushing for a plea deal," Alexander said as we sat. "The university board has asked me to help with the transition while they search for a new dean." "That's a lot of responsibility." "It is." His hand found mine between us, a tentative touch. "I've also been working with the board to ensure all the misappropriated scholarship funds are restored. Your scholarship is secure no matter what." I squeezed his hand. "Thank you, but that's not why I'm here." Alexander turned to face me fully, vulnerability evident in his expression. "Why are you here, then?" "Because I missed you too." The admission felt like releasing a weight I'd been carrying. Because even when I thought you'd betrayed me, I couldn't stop caring about you. Dominic. My name was a reverent whisper on his lips. I should have trusted you with the truth from the beginning. I was trying to protect you, but I ended up hurting you instead. We both made mistakes. I reached up to trace the line of his jaw, feeling the slight tremor in his response. But what we built together, that wasn't a mistake. Alexander leaned into my touch, his eyes closing briefly. Even with how it started, the blackmail, the lies, especially with how it started, I smiled. It makes for a much better story. How did you two meet? Oh, he blackmailed me into being his fake boyfriend, then took down a corruption ring to save my scholarship. His laugh was surprised and genuine, the sound warming me more than my coat. When you put it that way. Besides, I continued, moving closer, the beginning doesn't matter as much as where we go from here. Alexander's hand cupped my cheek, his gaze intent. And where is that exactly? Somewhere real. No more pretending, no more secrets. I covered his hand with mine. Just us, figuring it out together. The kiss we shared was a promise. Gentle at first, then deepening as Alexander pulled me closer. His arms encircling me as if he never intended to let go. When we finally broke apart, Alexander rested his forehead against mine. I love you, he whispered, the words hanging between us like a gift. I think I have since that first night at the beach. I love you too, I replied, the truth of it resonating through me, even when I tried not to. His smile was radiant, unburdened in a way I'd never seen before. As we walked back toward the dance, hand in hand, I realized that what had begun as a deception had transformed into something neither of us could have anticipated. 1 year later, Azul looks exactly the same. Blue lights, throbbing music, beautiful people seeking beautiful distractions. I adjust my tie as I survey the club, memories washing over me. Nervous? Alexander appears beside me, looking devastating in a charcoal suit. A little. I squeeze his hand. It's weird being back here. After the scandal, everything changed. Dean Blackwood is serving time for embezzlement. Alexander used his trust fund, the portion his mother left him that his father couldn't touch, to establish a new scholarship program for working students. I was offered a legitimate position planning events for the university's arts program, allowing me to quit my night job at the club. We moved into a small apartment off campus, where Alexander set up a piano and I have space for my art. Our relationship, born of pretense and deception, has blossomed into something neither of us believed possible. Why did you want to come back here tonight? Alexander asks, guiding me toward the bar where we first met. Nostalgia, I guess. I smile. This is where it all began. Alexander orders 2 vodka sodas. Do you ever regret it? Getting involved with me, I mean. Only when you leave your wet towels on the bathroom floor. My teasing smile softens. Never, Alex. Not for a second. Alexander's gray eyes, once so guarded, now shine with open affection. Good, because I have something to ask you. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small velvet box. My breath catches as Alexander drops to one knee, right there in the middle of the club. The music seems to fade as curious onlookers gather around us. Dominic Torres. Alexander's voice is steady, though his hands tremble slightly as he opens the box to reveal a platinum band. 1 year ago, I blackmailed you into being my fake boyfriend. It was the most ridiculous, desperate thing I've ever done, and somehow it led me to the greatest happiness I've ever known. I laughed through the tears forming in my eyes. You really are terrible at relationships. I am. Alexander smiles. But I'm learning. With you. You broke through every wall I built after my mother died. You saw the real me when I was trying my hardest to hide. You made me brave enough to do the right thing, even when it cost me everything I thought I wanted. He takes a deep breath. I love you, Dominic. Will you marry me? For real this time. No blackmail involved. The club erupts in cheers as I pull Alexander to his feet and into my arms. Yes, I whisper against his lips. 1,000 times yes. As we seal our promise with a kiss, I think about the winding path that brought us here. From strangers to reluctant roommates, from fake boyfriends to real lovers, from broken pasts to a future we'll build together. The end. What would you do if your hookup blackmailed you into a fake date? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome!